So let's take a look and step back for those that are not familiar with EB-5, and we'll take a quick step there, but then we'll talk about that communication piece that's vital for you as a limited partner in your action plans to success for your EB-5 investment in coming to the United States. So very quickly, as we look through what is EB-5, and this is just a refresher, some of those who have joined us today may not be familiar with EB-5, so let's share that. You may have some family members with you, so let's get started. EB-5 in and of itself is a program from the United States, an immigrant investor program that allows foreign nationals to make an investment in the United States, create American jobs, and if they accomplish that job creation component and make the investment the requisite amount, then they're awarded, or they earn, or they attain the goal of a permanent residence card, permanent green card. So at its core, EB-5 is a jobs creation program for the United States with an immigration benefit. It is the gatekeeper for EB-5 is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. There's 10,000 visas available every year, and 10,000 visas, as some of you have already come across, does not mean 10,000 applications every year. It's 10,000 visas. So in a family, for example, mama would get a visa, papa would get a visa, and then all of the children who are under the age of 21 and not married would also require their own visa out of that 10,000 visa allocation. And currently, the investment amount has changed. All of you have invested at the 500,000 level. That's the old level that changed November 2021 of last year, 2019. Now the new minimum investment amount is $900,000. So when you invested at the lower amount, and now that number has changed to $900,000. But the requirements for the program are exactly the same, regardless of the amount that's invested. The investors must demonstrate that they've created at least 10 jobs for American workers, and they must sustain that investment until they've completed their 2 years of conditional residency. And if those two things are accomplished, the right amount of investment has been made, the investment has been sustained, and the 10 jobs have been created, then the investors qualify for the permanent residence card. So that in a nutshell is EB-5. But the next piece of this is actually the timeline, and we've already gotten some questions on the timeline and the new processing from the USCIS. They have a new protocol that they're putting in place. So let's walk through that a little bit. Starting at the leftmost arrow on this screen, you'll see the filing of the I-526 petition. That I-526 petition, for all of you, has already been filed with you and your attorney, filing your case in the business plan, that all that information that CMB has already provided to the attorney. He combines that with your personal information, your CV, your source of funds information, other data that he believes is pertinent. And then he puts in a memo in there and says, this is a nice family, and we believe that you should, they're going to create 10 jobs as a result of this investment, and so we think you should approve this petition. And then that's sent to the USCIS. The USCIS then receives that petition in hard copy. They have to put every copy in this electronic world. Governments still work at the rate of government, so everything has to be sent to them in hard copy. And when they receive that, then they go about processing that information. Well, the time it takes to process the I-526 petitions is posted on the USCIS website. And what they're showing now is about 29.5 to 44.5 months to process the average I-526 petition. Actually, 90% of the I-526 petitions are processed by that 44.5 month number. But this year they've started a new protocol. Because the 10,000 visa maximum in the category has been hit since 2015, now the USCIS understands that their old methodology of first in, first out. The first I-526 petition that's been received would have been processed first, the second one second, and everyone that came after that would be done in relative sequence thereafter. So those who are filing in 2019, let's say, if there are some families who had filed in, let's say, 2017, all of those families would have had their I-526 petitions processed before the investors in 2019. Well, that first in, first out meant that there were families that would have to wait for their I-526 to be processed, but there was a visa that was waiting for them. There was already a visa available because the maximum number of visas for every country hadn't been hit yet. So now what they're doing is they understand that there are some countries that have maxed out their visa allocation every year, and that's about 700 visas. And those are China, Vietnam, Brazil, South Korea, and India. And those 5 countries have maxed out their visa allocation for every year. So there's a queue, there's a back wait for the visa to be available for those countries. Other countries don't have that issue. So what the USCIS has decided to do beginning in March of this year is that they are going to pull those investors out of that long queue and put them in a much shorter queue. And what that means is that there's a visa that's available for those investors from those countries who are not in a visa backlog or in a retrogressed situation. Then they get a much shorter processing time for their visa to be, or their I-526 petition to be processed. Now that's new. The new protocol and the new procedure began in March, and then so did the COVID-19. So a lot of things that we would have seen benefit from perhaps already in the ensuing months from March, should that protocol have been implemented at full steam right away, to where it is today, we're still trying to have a good feeling that the USCIS has begun this process and really engaged it. So we don't really see anything specific, any benefits specific to that, and it may take some time to work through. But that's new. And most of you who are investors from non-retrogressed countries or from countries that do not have a visa backlog should benefit from that. And that's very, very good news. So you'll get out of that long queue and you'll be in a much shorter queue to be processed because there's visas available. So fingers crossed that you will see some benefit from that. And I can't promise that. I don't think anyone can, but everyone is hopeful that this new procedure from the USCIS will provide some benefit to you investors who are not in who have recently filed that are in non-retrogressed countries. So hopefully within the next few months, we'll start to see some benefit from that. And again, if you have some specific questions, be sure to put those down and we'll try to get to those a little bit later.